The time is now 7 o'clock. I'd like to call this session of the Bridgewater Town Council meeting to order. Can please everyone rise and join me in a pledge of allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Welcome, everybody. To start off, we'll just announce the Town Council meeting is being streamed live via YouTube. Please go to the Town of Bridgewater Facebook link page for the link to tonight's meeting on YouTube. We'll certainly want to open the meeting tonight. We do have some condolences to make to the family of Louis P. Alberghini, who served in the U.S. Army. He passed away on April 21st. Can I please have a moment of silence for him, his family members, and friends? Thank you very much. To start off, we'll have approval of our minutes from our last meeting of April 22nd. Oh. No, not yet. We're going to do that after. Okay. Approval of meeting minutes for April 22nd, 2025, and again for the new councilors that weren't at that meeting. We will not have you vote on these minutes, but do I have a motion to approve those meetings?
So moved.
Ms. Strigels? Second by Mr. Loretti. Any further comments, questions on those notes, on those meeting minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 in favor, none against. Okay. So we will start off with announcements from the president, and obviously is this my last meeting leading as the president of the council. I have a few parting remarks. So I will say good evening, everyone. As I step down from my role as president of the town council, I want to take a moment to reflect with gratitude and pride on the journey we've all shared over the past year. Serving this community has been and continues to be one of my greatest honors in my life, and I was proud to be president of the council over the past year. During the past year, as a council, we faced many challenges, celebrated accomplishments, and most importantly, worked together to move our town forward. I am proud of what we've achieved, from hiring an interim town manager, Ms. Robinson, after losing Mr. Dutton last summer, and hiring of a new town manager, Mr. Casanova Davis, who will be starting June 1st for the town of Bridgewater. From putting forward key programs such as our Veterans Volunteer Services Work-Off program and our paid military service leave for public employees, to the proposed override for our schools, police, fire, roads, and other town services that we'll be putting on the ballot on June 21st. I'd like to thank my fellow council members for their collaboration, ideas, and commitment to serving our residents. We haven't always agreed, but we've always shared a common purpose to do what's best for our community. I'm also incredibly grateful to our acting town manager, our town and council staff, all the volunteers of our boards and committees, and every resident who took the time to participate in civic life in any way possible. Your voices are what keep our local democracy strong. Leadership is not about titles, it's about service. And I'm proud to have served the town of Bridgewater in this capacity. As I pass the torch to our next council president, I do so with confidence in our incoming leadership and in a positive direction this council will take for our town. Again, thank you for allowing me to lead this council over the past year, and I look forward to continuing as a member of the council over the next 3 years, thanks to the voters of Bridgewater who placed their trust in me again to do so. Thank you very much. All right, so with that, we will start off by first asking our town clerk to come up. We're going to swear in our newly elected town councilors. Some old, some new.
Is the camera looking at you? So, Sean, you need to go there. So the tallest. Oh, there we go. All right. So raise your strong hand and repeat after me. I state your name. do solemnly swear I will serve the people of the town of Bridgewater to the best of my ability, creating and upholding the town code, ordinances, orders, and resolutions of the town, the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and the laws of the United States of America. I further vow to faithfully represent the citizens of Bridgewater, regardless of color, gender, or religion, honoring their faith and trust in me. I will make myself available to hear and, when possible and appropriate, to act upon concerns presented to me. I will serve the town council with diligence, faithfully attending both council and committee meetings. And this is my sacred oath, given today to the people of Bridgewater. All right, thank you. All right, so now we will do the election for the new council president. Do I hear any nominations?
Madam Town Clerk, I would like to nominate Johnny Loretti for president of our town council.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Do I have any other nominations?
I'll nominate Mark Lindy.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any other nominations? All right, so you were each given 2 cards. Write down either Johnny or Mark, and I will collect those and we'll determine who won. You don't have to feel it. It's not a prize. Raffle.
Why do we have 2?
I don't know. You should make a mistake on the first one?
I don't make mistakes.
It's the kind of humility we need.
Yeah, little of it.
All right, so we have 6 votes for Johnny and 3 for Mark. Sorry. You're Johnny's wife, right? Yes. So Johnny is president. All right, do I hear any nominations for vice president?
I think Johnny's supposed to do this, isn't he?
Nope.
That's what it says on the agenda.
In the charter, it says I do it. In the admin code, it says you do it.
Awesome.
Charter wins. Yeah. All right, so do I have any nominations for vice president?
Madam Town Clerk, I nominate Mary McGrath for town council vice
Okay.
president.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any other nominations for vice president?
I'm going to nominate myself for vice president.
Okay, second?
Second.
Any other nominations for vice president? Hearing none, you're going to write Mary or Mark on your slip of paper. All right, so I have 7 votes for Mary and 2 for Mark. So Mary, congratulations. guys can move into those spots.
Gather my things. Leaving the timer.
If you notice, there is a number in front of you. You're going to move to that spot when you get that corresponding playing card number. And Johnny, do you want her to be right-hand woman, or do you want her to be a left-hand woman?
She's a right-hand kind of woman.
The numbers are random.
So,
So we just moved to what number we got, right?
all right, it was 6.
Who's number 4?
Me,
You're right.
I know. I'm moving.
One seat.
Mary, you didn't get rid of
I'm right here.
Okay.
Oh, we're still together.
That's the way you pick it.
You're here?
I'm here,
Oh,
bro.
that's
Yes. That way I can hold that.
Still front and center. Thank you, sir. Use the timer for today. So, yeah, 1, 2, 3, and then starting to start.
starting to wear down.
Yeah, I know, right? A lot of use this past year.
Howdy.
All right, so this is tonight's rest of tonight's agenda. Here. I kind of highlighted everything for you.
So thank you all for volunteering for the town of Bridgewater, and I wish you all the success for this coming year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Town Clerk. We do not have any proclamations, and before we start, thank you to my fellow councilors for electing me as your president. I look forward to serving you all and serving the town of Bridgewater, and I'm excited about the position. So that being said, as I just mentioned, we do not have any proclamations, so we move on to citizen open forum. Due to Massachusetts open meeting law requirements, discussions will not take place during the public comment periods. If appropriate, responses to questions and concerns will be given by the town manager at a future town council meeting. Anyone may comment at this time for up to 3 minutes. Comments or inquiries should be made in a respectful manner and not cast aspersions on individual council members or the council as a whole. So remember to please state your name and address prior to speaking. Anybody like to come up?
Good evening, councilors. Sam Baumgarten, 60 Short Street. Welcome to the newcomers and to your new positions and seats. Must look a little different. I wish you well as you tackle the infrastructure and budget concerns that face our town, while at the same time recognizing and supporting all the good things in Bridgewater. During the months leading up to the election, there was considerable discussion about the council's focus. Should it be on roads, water, traffic, downtown revitalization, etc.? Or should it be on the council's philosophy and positions relative to flag raisins, welcoming community, and as some people phrased it, regrettably, ideological concerns? I believe this is an unnecessary dichotomy. We all want our roads paved, our water to be crystal clear, our traffic flowing smoothly, new businesses to open, and small classes in our schools. But I also want a council that stands up for diversity, equity, and inclusion. These are positive words and concepts, not negative. And a council that supports marginalized groups and does so without fear of being held hostage by the federal government. In other words, please stand up to Washington's edicts, which are hurting so many. Stand up for humanity, for people's welfare, and for everyone's rights. Be welcoming to our immigrant population, especially the young people who are in our schools. Support the increasing diversity in Bridgewater. Such diversity only enriches us. Come out to the flag raisings and support our neighbors who are LGBTQ and/or people of color. These are positive events. When the council creates an aura of support, friendship, and welcoming, it changes everything. This aura makes the rest of the work easier. I have mentioned before that you should use our neighboring university as an example. Here is a BSU Facebook post from just a few days ago. Bridgewater State University reaffirms the values of community as a welcoming, compassionate, and intellectually rigorous learning, working, and living environment. We reject all forms of bias, discrimination, xenophobia, and violence. We recommit ourselves to actions that put into practice our individual and institutional values of diversity, equity, and inclusion. I hope that the council will work in concert with Bridgewater State and act as one in making this the most welcoming community we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
Good evening. Scott Pitt of Pine Street. At the last council meeting, Councilor Ellenberg raised a charter objection. That charter objection was ruled out of order. I believe that was a violation of the charter, and I'm here to explain why. This interpretation that was received at the last meeting stated that the charter objection had to be raised at the first reading of any measure before this council. That interpretation is in direct contradiction with the history and tradition of how the charter objection has been used by this council in years past, and it contradicts the plain text of the charter. When you interpret a statute, it's a long-standing tenet of statutory interpretation that the statute must be interpreted in a manner that gives full effect to all of the words within the statute. No portion of that statute may be rendered inoperative or superfluous. Those are not my words. Those are the words of the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court. This concept goes as far back as 1803 with Marbury v. Madison, where Chief Justice John Marshall wrote, "It cannot be presumed that any clause is intended to be without effect. Therefore, such a construction is inadmissible." When we look at the charter objection, section 2-7C, the plain language, what it says is on the first occasion that the question on adoption of a measure is put to the town council, if a single member objects to the taking of that vote, the vote shall be postponed. The interpretation you received essentially strikes words from that and changes the sentence to on the first occasion that the measure is put to the town council. Those are different sentences. And it's important to note this because what is the effect of the charter objection? It postpones the vote on adoption. You can't take a vote on adoption on the first reading. That's in section 2-7A. So with this interpretation, the entire charter objection is thrown out. It has no effect. And that is there because when the charter was passed, the people of this town were concerned about a small minority of, well, not a minority, but a small group of people seizing control of the council and passing measures with minimal time. The Prop 2.5 override, whether you support it or not, it was passed in 14 days. You just saw every one of you takes an oath to support the charter, and that's what I'm asking you to do tonight. Propose a motion to rescind, honor your oath to the charter, rescind the prior vote. Whether you agree with the charter objection or not, it deserves to be honored because at some point, every one of you may be in that position where you're in the minority and you want to slow things down. So please honor the charter with a motion to rescind and bring that measure up at the next council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Would anyone else like to come up?
I'm Dr. Michael Thomas, 72 Magnolia Way, Bridgewater. I'd like to welcome all the new members and welcome back the existing members. And I hope you do live up to your oath of supporting the people of Bridgewater. And in light of a resolution that was put forth with the old council on February 18th of this year, condemning, or welcoming the community of Bridgewater, that resolution and all that it stated. It was rejected by the people with a signed petition of over 700 Bridgewater residents. In doing so, in the following meeting of the council on March 18th of this year, they tabled it and did not go through with the resolution. So I would hope that in coming back, you had also reworded that resolution coming up on the 21st of June for the flag raising, and trying to take out the word safe haven, which is synonymous with being sanctuary. So putting that in there is putting up for a lot of questions, a lot of liability, a lot of issues with other groups, some that you may not like, that you're going to have to provide safe haven for. So, and there was a Palestinian flag raised in the town common. That might be something you might have to adjust to, raising one particular group over another. We have the American flag, which stands for everyone, liberty and justice for all. Until we can come and unite underneath that one flag, we're going to be a town, a nation divided. Until you realize that, bringing up any particular groups over others, just because you feel for their cause or whatever, is not right. You want to raise other flags, raise the flags of the armed services, the Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, the other people that give their lives so that we have the freedom to raise our flag and to speak openly as we do today. Without their efforts, who knows what this nation would be at this time. But many have fought in many wars, world wars in other countries, so that we can raise our flag proudly. And everyone that's come to this nation, a lot of groups have been immigrants, have been criticized roundly, and some even more than others. But everyone has learned to blend in together the melting pot that is America. And until we realize that, even the town of Bridgewater, though it may be small, there is a lot of people here that believe in that, even though they may not focus on it, may not be here tonight. There was over 700 people that signed a petition, and that's what the town of Bridgewater. If you want to find a stronger voice from the town of Bridgewater, I suggest you put it on the ballot and see what the response is from the townspeople. You're not here to take and promote your own ideologies. You're here to serve the townspeople of Bridgewater. And in doing that, I was trying to find the minutes of a meeting.
Sorry, sir, the 3 minutes is up. Would you mind just closing up, please?
Yep. There's a school committee has a DEI subcommittee that has a meeting in August. I can't find any minutes of that. And also the DEI committee that's in Bridgewater. I'd like to know what their reasoning is, what their purpose is, how they plan to initiate whatever policies they want to do, and if there's any consequences for businesses, people, or other agencies in town if these aren't followed, and how they're going to have to be followed, and how this is going to reflect on our schools and the children in our schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to come up?
My name is David Moore, 54 Flag Street in Bridgewater. 8 years ago, a group of people, including the Historical Commission, started a program for Bridgewater Hometown Heroes. And since that time, it's privately funded. We have taken in funds for over 250 banners, many donations from companies and individuals. We have over 270 veterans that will be on banners that will be starting to place at various locations around town on Saturday morning. And hopefully we'll get them all up by Memorial Day. The new banner requests continue to come in, probably 1 or 2 a month. And the question has been asked, why do we keep putting them up and taking them down? whereas some towns put them up and they stay up. Well, we tried that one year, and we lost 4 or 5 banners. It was a very bad winter, and so we take them down. Some of our banners are 8 years old, and I think it's because we take such good care of them, that's why they're lasting. And I'd be very surprised to see if the banners in the other towns last anywhere near that long. One additional thing we've been doing, this is one of the latest banner that's come in. This gentleman served as on the Board of Selectmen for many years. I don't know if anybody here remembers Henry Cormier. His grandson is here tonight. I'm going to leave this with him. But I'd like to add that the company that does these for us, Sign Design, we pay them for the banners. They give us these for nothing, for the individuals. Tremendous company to work with, and they've been doing a lot of the banners in the surrounding communities. One other thing we've added with this one, we started with Mr. Kravitz when he passed away. We're adding a Purple Heart. And the new banners that are reprinted, we hope that people will come forward and say, my vet is a Purple Heart recipient, and we want to add it to it. So that's the status of the program, and we're looking for, to the general public, as much support as we can get. We can't do this without individual support. Many of the surrounding towns, their highway department puts them up. But I know they're not putting up 250 banners. So we need citizen participation. Everybody out there, hope you can make it on Friday morning, Saturday morning. And we will continue to put them in place up until Memorial Day and after if need be. And if somebody can't make it on the weekend, obviously a lot of people won't be around on Sunday to do it, for Mother's Day, they can get a hold of me, and we can make arrangements to give you a stack of banners, and you can take them out with your team and put them up at any time you want. Just as long as they get up and they get up, put up safe. Where's Mr. Cormier?
Thank you, Mr. Moore.
Just ask them time and place for Saturday.
Mr. Moore, Saturday here at the Academy Building, yes? What time?
8 o'clock, we're meeting in the parking lot right here.
Okay, 8 o'clock here at the Academy Building on Saturday.
Yes,
All right?
thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Ashley Mallard, 270 Grange Park. I do want to welcome all the new members to the council and hope that we can all work together for a better Bridgewater, because I think ultimately, no matter which way we stand, there is something that we want to have for our community, and that's a better community. I do stand here actually a little bit nervous for the first time in a while, because the concept of not moving forward on this override is absolutely devastating. This is Teacher Appreciation Week, and like, I don't know, 90 some odd pink slips went out last Thursday. I walked into school to teachers crying. The high school is going to take the biggest hit, which I sort of referenced to last time. I have a preliminary list of classes that'll not be offered, and the list is, APs, some AP classes across the board are being taken away, business, certain levels of language, options that make our students viable candidates for college. I'm not even sure how these classes will be filled. I know certain classes that, I'll be in the 36 to 40 range. Math department might be in the 42 to 47 range per class. It's unsustainable. We're doing a disservice for these children, and if you take away the right for the citizens to have the right to vote, that's real. It just really feels disheartening. This is not something that started 14 days before the vote. This was last year when there was a joint budget meeting talking about how bad the money would be. And then in January, when I came to many of the meetings and started to sound the alarm of this is no joke, this is a real problem. I will be going on Monday to a joint meeting at the State House to advocate for more Chapter 70 funding and testify. I'm doing whatever I can to get more money. I'm asking for more money for the cherry sheet. I'm bothering them about, you know, the water in town, I'm bothering the state, I'm making every phone call I can make. The least you can do is allow the citizens of this community to continue to move forward with the vote. I disagree on the technicality that has been brought up. I'll let legal discuss that, it's not my place, but like, just recognize, I literally have kids at the high school asking me, and I don't talk about, you know, voting rights, but when a kid says to me, is it true that my family might have to pay $6,000 for sports next year? My family will not be able to afford that. And then a parent has to say, well, one kid might have a better chance of getting into a college off of this sport, so I have to sacrifice my other kid's ability to play this. Or, Mrs. Mallard, I want to transfer. Some schools are not opening anymore to school choice, and it's too late to transfer to a private school, or my family can't afford $15,000 for a private school, so I have a full caseload when I apply to college. We are taking away the opportunities for so many kids. I cannot let the divisiveness that has grown in this town in the last few weeks sacrifice the children. If you want to be mad at someone, be mad at me because somehow my face has become the front of this. But you as council need to recognize I have kids talking about, will I be able to leave school early to work a job, to be able to pay for things that should be free in public school? Things that were free for many of us. Things that were free for many of the people sitting here. No one's coming to save us. We have to save ourselves. Even if I can get the Chapter 70 money to come up, it's going to be a drop because they messed us last year. And I understand my time is up, but this issue is too devastating to turn away because I am the one that walked into my classroom today and had 60 kids ask me about this. And I have to toe the line of not admitting, like not saying too much and saying to kids, your family has to do what's right for you, but yes, I can tell you that you will not have this, you will not have that. Yeah, that's what we're planning on. The high school kids know now. Be the leaders they need. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to come up?
Jim Wilder, Curve Street. Just came up to say congratulations, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you to all the supporters and all the voters on both sides and the supporters on both sides coming out during a monsoon. That was wild. Thanks for everything, and keep the taxpayers in mind.
Thank you. Anyone else like to come up? Thank you for those who spoke. There will be a citizen comment period at the end of the meeting. We do not have any appointments, so we will move on to hearings. We will move on to Budget Order FY2026-001, the Annual Town Budget. This hearing has been duly advertised in the Enterprise and on the town's website. All orders relative to the FY2026 budget may be finally voted this evening and are itemized under Section L, Legislation for Action. Budget and Finance voted 3-0 to recommend the budget at their 14/25 meeting. And we will begin the hearing here. It is now 7:34 p.m. And I will send it over to Town Manager for comments.
Point of order.
Yep.
Point of order. I think we need to honor the charter objection. Now, this is not to torpedo the override, but I think that we need to dive deeper into the override numbers to provide confidence and trust to the townspeople that we have examined it and it was not shoved through. So, I'm making my charter objection again. And I'm calling for an emergency meeting in 48 hours per the charter.
Can we have a charter objection to something that's not on the floor at the moment?
I think
Or
we
you-
ought to take a brief recess to
Yes.
get town council back.
I'll move for a brief recess.
Make a motion for a brief recess. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Mr. President?
Sure.
I am asking for the charter objection so that we may call a special meeting within 48 hours according to the charter, and that we can have further discussion about the override as well as the general budget. There is a lot of questions I have, and I'm sure other people have questions as well, and I think in the effort for transparency, we should have a public meeting where the budget is discussed. Thank you.
So to be clear, you're making a charter objection on the hearing for the budget so that we do not vote on this tonight.
As well as the override that's within the budget. In other words, the overall budget.
Well, the override's not on the agenda, so you would be making a charter objection to the budget consideration.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, you know my opinion on this. It's not the first occasion. I don't read the charter in the way that a citizen that came up reads it, so I would say it's out of order.
So just to be clear, the budget on our agenda tonight is separate from the override measure. So are you still objecting to this budget hearing?
I would like the budget to be gone into more detail. So yes, I'm objecting to the budget hearing, yes.
My legal advice is I don't agree with that interpretation of the charter, but it's ultimately the council president who gets to make a determination if they follow my legal advice or not. My legal advice is a charter objection has to occur at the first reading because that is a question that is for adoption, whether you coin it however you want to coin it. I do not agree with any other interpretation of that. There is no case law that I know of that contradicts that. So that is my interpretation. I believe the intent of a charter objection is so that the process can slow down at the outset because a counselor believes that there's some issue with the question under the charter. So I don't see how it intentionally would want to slow down the process after it's gone through the entire legislative process, and at the final time you all vote the question, then delay it. That, to me, seems contrary to the intent of what a charter objection is supposed to do. It's supposed to delay the process so that it can be rewritten, come back before the council in a way that complies with the charter, so that you don't go through an entire legislative process only to have it put off. There is no rush unless it's an emergency. The only time anything gets voted on the first occasion is in the case of an emergency, which then requires a higher standard of a charter objection because you're about to vote it into place. So I think the charter's pretty clear on that. I understand a difference of opinion on it. I completely, unfortunately, under the law and charters, however you want to read case law, however you want to read a charter, however you want to read a statute, oftentimes things are subject to interpretation. My interpretation of it is the objection comes at the first reading to give this council time to look at whatever's coming before the council and potentially rewrite it or redo it because they're concerned it has some issue under the charter. I can't imagine someone drafting a charter with a mechanism to simply cause delay. So to me, I think it's a clear analysis. I understand how someone can have a difference of opinion. That is my legal advice. Ultimately, the council president gets to decide if they take that advice or not.
I have a clarifying question for Councilor Ellenberg through the president.
Sure.
Are you putting a delay on the budget as we look at it with a 4.67 increase that the town can currently afford while making cuts? Or are you intending on this being solely a delay on an override conversation. I think that's where the confusion definitely lies. And if it's the general budget that we have that is a 4.67% increase, I think that's a completely separate matter that we should be able to move forward on this evening.
Yes. However, and I would state that, and we do not know the answer to some of this, but hopefully our unions will be coming in at 2%, the way the administrative union came in at 2% for the next 3 years. And hopefully we won't be coming in at 4.67%, but we'll be coming in at a lower rate. And that's why we possibly might need adjustments in our budget depending on what the unions do. And therefore, I don't think that we should be voting it right now. Perhaps another regular meeting instead of an emergency meeting.
Through you, Mr. President, to Ms. Ellenberg. Again, you stated earlier that you want to have a discussion on the budget. This hearing is designed to be that discussion for the public as well as the council.
But again, there's a charter objection pending, so all debate needs to stop. If the charter objection is on the budget, then my opinion is that it's too late to make the charter objection. That is the call of the president. So the president has to rule on this, has to make a determination, and then we can move forward with whatever it is you all decide you want to move forward with.
I just wanted to reiterate, but that's fine. I'll defer to Mr. President.
Counselor, can you speak to the language that I'm looking at here in the charter that I'm concerned about? Can you speak to the word adoption? I'm not an attorney, but as I understand it, adoption means to vote into place. And that's where I am at a crossroads at the moment, because to me, I understand that as today, where we are voting to adopt this measure into place. So could you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I'm trying to, want to pull it up so I have it.
Mr. President?
Let him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so on the first occasion that the question on adoption of a measure is put to the town council, if a single member objects to the taking of the vote shall be postponed until the next meeting of the town council, whether regular or special. So to me, you can't take one word out of the sentence. So the sentence says, on the first occasion that the question on adoption of a measure is put to the town council. In my opinion, the first occasion that the question on adoption of a measure is put to the council is the first time that something is read into the record here as a first reading. What the vote is thereafter, maybe it's a vote, if it's an emergency order, maybe it's a vote to approve. If it's an order that's going to get put out to committee, then it's a vote that gets put out to committee. If it's a vote to stay at council level, it's a vote to stay at council level. But every measure that comes before this council is a question on adoption. You do not put something legislatively before this council to have it denied. Otherwise, what are you legislating? Every single question is a question on adoption. So there are semantic issues here. I understand that. It's imperfectly written. If I were to have written it, I would have said, on the last occasion in which a vote is to be rendered on approval or denial of a measure, because that's what I think you're interpreting it as. Yep. Can you interpret it that way? Sure. But when I see the word first occasion come before the question on adoption, I interpret it differently. Doesn't mean it's 100% right. Doesn't mean it's 100% wrong. I'm telling you, the way that reads is, under the way that you legislate in this body, is that on the first reading, which is the first occasion that the question on adoption of a measure is put to the town council. I don't know how you could say that it isn't. You can make semantic arguments interpreting adoption in a bunch of different ways, but that also may not be the first occasion. And so I think it's important to not separate words out, but to read the sentence as a whole. And the way that this form of government works is every matter for legislation is a question on adoption. It's a matter of, is it going to be voted on that day? Is it going to be sent to a committee? Is it going to stay at council level? Is it an emergency, right? And I think because of it, and this kind of goes to my point, it requires more people to make the charter objection in the case of an emergency, because that is the last time the council gets to vote on the measure. And so I think the problem here is the language. Other towns use this language, other cities use this language. This language has not been explicitly challenged, as far as I know or have found. I've looked into it, I've read about it. I'm open to reading anything on this. But what I read that as is on the first occasion that the question on adoption of a measure is put to the town council. To me, that is your first reading.
Thank you for that. I've heard that there are some talks of pending litigation coming up in regard to the charter objection from a couple of weeks ago. In the spirit of that, and in the spirit of protecting the town from future litigation on now another charter objection, I'm going to honor it tonight, because I don't think that we need to pass this budget tonight, and I would welcome further discussion outside of this room on that. And the spirit of that is just to protect the town from additional harm that may arise from not honoring this charter objection.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
President Loretti, could I ask, through you, a question to the attorney, to the town attorney?
Yes.
Just a quick one. So if it says to be finally voted this evening, we haven't had a chance ever to vote on this. So even though it's the final vote, it's also the first vote. Is that not right?
No, there's been other votes on this matter. At the first
To
reading,
adopt it?
at the way I'm interpreting it is on the first occasion that the question on adoption of a measure is put to the town council. A question on adoption of a measure is the first reading, because every measure is a question on adoption. Every one. You don't put legislation before the council that isn't there to be adopted, as far as I know. So it's a semantics thing. And I am not telling you that you couldn't interpret it other ways. I'm telling you how I interpret it.
Yes, that's what it feels like to me, because when we vote to send it out to a committee to make adjustments to it or ask questions about it, that doesn't feel like adoption to me. That feels like look it over, check it out, see what you need to do to fix it to make us be able to adopt it. That's the interpretation that I get, but I don't.
Yeah, and then
I'm
you,
an attorney.
and then you get into, when there's ambiguity, you get into what's the intent of a charter objection. What does that mean? What does charter objection mean? If you're making an objection based on some charter issue, why wouldn't that be known, or why wouldn't you be concerned about that at the first reading?
Unless you thought when you were, excuse me, but through you over to him, unless you felt that when you were sending it out to the committee, they would find some of those errors or something and fix those things, so that when it came back to be, in my estimation, adopted, it would be fixed.
So if those things were fixed, why would you make an objection on the charter at the final vote?
Only if you still really objected to it, I suppose.
On what grounds?
But
Like, why is it called a charter objection and not an objection?
perhaps the committee didn't find all the wrong things.
This is the problem when you start to interpret things. And this is what my point to you is. I hear you. I understand what you're saying. But I don't think it's clear in that way.
Thanks very much. And I didn't mean to be making a whole big issue.
Oh,
but
no,
It's my first night here, and I'd like to get
I
things
understand.
straight in my brain. Okay?
I totally understand.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Point of order,
Sure.
Mr. President. Just to clarify, with that being invoked by Councilor Ellenberg, which orders are we now delaying?
I believe Councillor Ellenberg objected, made a charter objection to Budget Order FY2026-001, which is the annual town budget. We were to have a hearing, and then we would approve the budget. And that is what's being delayed.
Thank you.
Okay, could we have the hearing and then continue the hearing?
Should we advertise?
No, it's objected, so we're going to just move on.
You have to re-advertise. Yeah, you'll have to re-advertise.
We'll have to re-advertise, okay.
Yes.
The cost of the town.
You just.
Yes.
One more final clarification. If Ms. Ellenberg will say for the record what the objection is so that we have that in the minutes correctly written, I just would like her to clarify in her words what she's objecting to.
Sure.
My clarification that I'm seeking is to have questions answered that I have, and I know other counselors have questions as well, and I think that we ought to explore everything before we just pass it. That's all.
Okay, Ms. Ellenberg, can I ask you to make your objection just for the record, please?
I
That's
don't
possible?
think that she has to. It's a charter objection. I think you have to move on. The debate's done. It's over. I believe you have to re-advertise because this is a hearing. So you're going to have to go through that process, make sure you properly put this on. You obviously have to work within the charter on the time frame to approve a budget. So I'll leave that to the council. I'll leave that to the council.
Question, Mr. President? Is the 14 days trampling on the 35 days needed for the ballot question?
There's already been a charter objection. You've already ruled on it. There is no discussion. There cannot be debate on charter
We
objection.
do have to move on. Okay. We do not have any licensed transactions. We do not have any presentations. We will now move to the town manager's report. It will be on the hydrant flushing schedule. Councilor Murphy asked that there be an update given after Mr. McKinnon mentioned it during citizen comments at our last meeting.
So, sorry, wasn't expecting a change of course tonight. So we are not planning to do hydrant flushing this spring. That is because we were in the process of having 2 of the wells rehabilitated so that we could get additional make sure we were meeting our water needs and being able to fill our towers. We received good news early this afternoon that those 2 wells have been completed and the state has signed off on our being able to start them this week. Which is terrific. And so I wanted to just give you a little bit broader of an explanation that because of that, we will be checking to see that the flow is what we're expecting, and we will be planning to slowly taper off the use of what we call well 10B, which is the one that brings about the iron and manganese that results in brown water concerns for that one segment of town. Near Plymouth Street. And we will be doing some targeted flushing just in that area to remove, whatever discolored water is in those pipes so that that area of town doesn't continue to experience that. Whether or not we can go through the rest of the summer without turning it back on, it's too soon to say, but we're hopeful that we will be able to avoid that while we're, as you know, still on a similar track working through the design process to be able to get those wells hooked to the High Street plant to permanently remove iron and manganese, which will happen sometime next in 2026. So our plan will be to go back to our regular flushing schedule in the fall once we're past the time of year where we use the most water and we can reliably do the flushing that we need to do. So that is my update.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the town manager for the next meeting?
I have a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mrs. Robinson, how is the South Street coming up, the old mobile station? Just to get an update next time.
The Summer Street Park, is that what you're referring to?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the town manager? Okay, seeing none. We'll move on to discussions. We'll be having a discussion on override education. This was requested by the council to have a discussion on how to reach the public on educating them on the override, and I will begin by asking the town manager to comment on the rollout plan.
So earlier today, staff's been working very hard on a page for the website to provide information to residents, which I emailed to all of you early afternoon. I realize that's short timing. That page is live on our website. It's under the town manager's page for now. What I was hoping for was some feedback today or in the next day or two. If there's anything you see or don't see there that you would like to see added so that we can be giving answering as many questions as possible, providing as much information as possible to anyone who's interested. The two things you will not find there quite yet is we are working on a schedule of being able to offer some public education meetings, perhaps 2 or 3, with our school district staff as well, to be able to give people an overview, answer questions at various times and locations between now and June 21st. We're also planning to put up a page where people can submit questions on the website, and then on a regular basis, we'll take those questions, put together a document with all the answers, and continuously refresh that on the page, so that anyone who comes up with a question that we hadn't thought of, we can answer it and keep providing more information. So that's the plan going forward. If any of you have had a chance to look at it, you have any initial thoughts, I'd love to hear them. Or you want to get back to me later, we'd like to go, well, assuming we're going to be going forward, want to get that live and have it easily found on the home page for people to get what they're looking for so they can make decisions.
Thank you. I will open the floor to any counselors that want to comment amongst each other or to the town manager for suggestions. Mr. Lindy?
Through you to the town manager, I just want to thank you for the organizational efforts to get that up and running. I know it's like starting with a blank slate and, educating, but the more information we give to the voters to get them to understand what all the issues are with funding, the better. So thank you for doing that.
I also want to reiterate what Councilor Lindy just said. Thank you for getting the information up on the website. This is a question that voters have been asking for weeks now, as they've been concerned about the override vote, either for or against. They want to know how much it may cost them. So just having that information available is really key to allowing the public to participate in the process and actually understand how it's going to affect the actual citizens. So we appreciate that. Thank you.
Just to follow up on that, when you look at the, when you click on the tax calculator, it is broken down by the 4 parts that you talked about, so someone will be able to understand when they put their value in exactly how much will go to schools, how much would go to the roads, how much would go to restoring town positions, to the extent people are interested in that.
Nice.
Thank you. Town Manager Robinson, thank you so much for that breakdown. I think that is probably the most useful tool on here, for the simple fact that everyone can look at their fair share of what a yearly bit of their tax increase is going to do to make their roads better, the police and fire better, the school better. And I think it creates a level of buy-in that makes it a little bit easier to get behind something. So kudos to you and the finance department for doing that.
Mr. Murphy?
Through you to the town manager, if we could, I know we talked about possibly setting, I didn't even know if you mentioned this, sorry, but setting up some in-person presentations of the override to folks, I think would be really helpful, just for folks that aren't able to access it on the website. And so maybe I could suggest a possible meeting at the senior center, maybe the academy building in a school.
We already have dates from COA for one at the senior center, and we're working with the schools, and either here or the library are options to have another meeting as well.
That's great.
Spread out over a couple of weeks, maybe later this month and early into June.
Excellent. Thank you.
Any other counselors who'd like to speak? No? Okay. Thank you very much. Looking forward to those community forums, and everyone please go ahead and check out the website. I checked it out myself today, and it looks like a great start. Next, we are moving on to committee reports. Are there any committee reports? Mr. Lindy?
Mr. President, Budget and Finance met tonight and recommended the items that we hadn't dealt with at our last meeting, 2-0.
Thank you. Are there any other committee reports? Okay. Moving on. Legislation for action. Item L, Budget Order FY2026-002, Water Enterprise Fund. Budget and Finance voted 3-0 to recommend at their 4/14 meeting, and Finance Committee yesterday voted 5-0 to recommend. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
First by Councilor Lindy, second by Mr. Perry. And is there any discussion?
I have a question. Looking at this, it says that the indirect costs in the general fund are $394,000, but up above, it says that we're going to be adding $419,000 for indirect costs. I'm just curious which one is the correct number.
Town Manager Robinson, are you able to answer that?
If you can give me a minute, the finance director just stepped out, so I'd like her to answer that question. If we can give her a second to get back.
Certainly.
No, she's still. I need to look at my enterprise fund
That's a
budget.
total of these two numbers. The total of these two numbers is that number. These two numbers is the total of that one. Okay.
Councilor Ellenberg, the transfer to the general fund, $24,768.
Is added to.
Do you add that to
Okay.
indirect costs of the general fund, $394,262? That number is that $419,000, which
Okay,
is in
thank
bold.
you.
You're welcome. Do I have a motion to approve?
Oh, we already got it in a second. Any further discussion?
Oh, sorry. Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any, all those opposed? Okay. Motion passes. Moving on to Budget Order FY2026-003, Sewer Enterprise Fund. Budget and Finance voted 3-0 to recommend at their 4/14 meeting. Finance Committee voted 5-0 to recommend. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
And seconded. Do I have any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And motion carries. Next, Budget Order FY2026-004, Transfer Station Enterprise Fund. Budget and Finance voted 3-0 to recommend at their 4/14 meeting. Finance Committee also voted 5-0 to recommend. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Mr. Lindy?
Second.
Second by Mr. Perry. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And motion carries. Thank you, Go. Budget Order FY2026-005, Authorization of Revolving Funds. Budget and Finance voted 3-0 to recommend at their 4/14 meeting. Finance Committee voted 5-0 to recommend. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Lindy and Mr. Perry. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next, Order FY25-057, BAA Collective Bargaining Contract Ratification. Budget and Finance voted,
2-0 tonight to recommend to the council.
thank you, and Finance Committee voted 5-0 to recommend. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Lindy, and second by Dr. Perry. Do I have any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And motion carries. Next, Order FY25-058, BAA Collective Contract Appropriation Transfer. Budget and Finance met prior to this meeting and
Voted 2-0 to recommend to the council.
thank you, sir. And Finance Committee voted 5-0 to recommend. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Lindy and Dr. Perry, thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. And finally, we have FY 25-059, acceptance of Hanson Farm Conservation Restriction. Budget and Finance met prior to tonight's meeting. And Mr. Lindy?
Vote was 2-0 to recommend to the full council.
Thank you, sir. And Finance Committee voted 5-0 to recommend. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Second by Councillor Sturgles. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? And motion carries. Okay, we have no old business. We'll be moving on to new business, which is Budget Order FY2026-006, CPA Reserve Accounts. And I'll ask Town Manager Robinson to give an update on the order.
Thank you. So this order is required to be done annually to appropriate for the CPA budget for the following year. It is for a total of $1,035,000, and it funds their administrative expenses. It also appropriates the amount required into the three buckets, as we call them, for open space, historic resources, and community housing, equal amounts. And it appropriates monies for reserves for debt payments for both the Academy Building and the Keith Homestead purchase. They're due in FY26.
Thank you. Do I have I'm looking for a motion to refer to Budget and Finance Committee and the Finance Committee.
So moved.
Councillor Striggles and second by Councillor Lindy. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Next up, Order FY 25-060, Capital Plan Transfers to FY 2026. And Town Manager Robinson, please.
Yes, so following the capital adoption of the capital plan, we also need to make financial provisions to pay debt on a number of vehicles and equipment that we lease purchase. That's the town's process for major purchases like this. So we're looking to have appropriated $633,230.93. And you can see the list of vehicles and equipment that is listed for all those amounts. That adds up to the same number.
Thank you. I'm looking for a motion to refer to Budget and Finance and the Finance Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Lindy and Dr. Perry. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Next, Order FY 25-061, Contractual Buyouts, and I will also bring this back to Town Manager Robinson.
So, as you know, we have a fund for situations where we have contractual buyouts of employees leaving the town's employ. We have 2 employees who are retiring on disability, and one a settlement of a grievance situation that we had with an employee in another department. And so we need to transfer $118,700 from that employee liability fund to the salaries for fire and for library.
Thank you very much. I'm also looking for a motion to refer this
So
to
moved.
Budget and Finance Committee.
So moved.
Councillor Lindy
Second.
and Dr. Perry, thank you very much. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And motion carries. Next, Order FY 25-062, Loan Authorization, Plymouth Street Wells Project. And again, Town Manager Robinson, please.
So as we've discussed in the past, we were, the DEP, State Department of Environmental Protection, included the work to the Plymouth Street wells, i.e. better known as wells 10A and 10B, to connect them with a water main to the High Street plant. Was approved on what the state calls its intended use plan that will enable us to have the opportunity to undertake a low-interest loan to pay for that work when it gets done next in 2026. The state requires that we obtain the ability to go out and borrow that money from the council, and that needs to be done by June 30th so that we can stay on track with them to be able to borrow it if needed. So that's what we're asking you to take action on. I would also tell you that we are on a different track. We are submitting a grant application to the One Stop program at the state to try to have the cost paid for through a grant, but we can't tell you at this stage whether we would win that. So we need to stay on parallel tracks with having this approval to be authorized to borrow in place should we need it, while we're also trying to seek a grant to pay for it and maybe not need this at all. But we need the approval in place regardless by the end of June.
Thank you very much. I'm also looking for a motion to refer this to Budget and Finance and the Finance Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Councilor Striggles and second by Mr. Lindy. And is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. And last, we have a resolution, FY25-012, resolution on FY26 school district budget funding. And I will ask Councilor Striggles for an update on this resolution.
Thank you, President Loretti. So I had a working group meeting with the school committee, as well as the superintendent, as well as the town of Rainham. The town of Rainham has already put their letter forth to the school committee, and it was tabled. I asked for clarification around it, whether or not there was still an appetite to potentially look through a letter of basically stating that if both towns bring a vote for an override in good faith to their residents, and if those towns decide to vote an override down, that the school committee would honor the decision and the vote in both towns. I asked Chairman Fitzgibbons if there was an appetite, and he said, let's wait until after the public meeting for Rainham to present it to the school committee. So I do think that it's still something that we should move forward with, and I still stand behind it. I do believe in the word of our voters. I think the word of our voters is gold. So if we don't trust the word of our voters, what do we really have? So I do still think that this is something that we should still proceed with at this time.
Thank you, Councilor Striggles. And I am looking for a motion to retain this at the council level.
So move.
We have a first. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. For discussion, Mr. Murphy?
Nothing.
Any discussion? Yes, so just to reiterate here, we will keep this at the council level, and we will revisit this at our next meeting on May 20th, which is the day after Rainham has their town meeting. So we will have some more information at our next council meeting, and then we'll be able to hopefully make an informed decision at that time as to this item on the agenda.
Mm-hmm.
So do I have, or rather, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
8-1 carries. Okay, we are now moving on to citizen comments.
Mr. President, before
Yes.
we get there, may I ask a question?
Sure.
Just being a new person here.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out. When we refer things to the committees, how do we know what the committees have studied when they're in their committees? Because I only hear that they've sent it by this many votes or whatever. I haven't heard, what did they determine? They clearly determined that it's all okay, but they haven't, like, what if they didn't? Like, would they be telling us, and who have they gotten that information from? Who comes to the committees, in addition to those particular counselors, to give them advice and to give them information? I'm just trying to figure out how all that works now that I'm sitting here. So I don't really know where to put that in this. I just thought I'd stick it in before the citizen comments.
Yeah, so I would think that should come up during committee reports, And if we'd like to have more thorough committee reports, it's something that we could definitely request of the committee chairs, and we could have more thorough discussion either here in person or have a report sent without violating open meeting law to individual counselors for their review. I think that's a great idea. I'd like to see more input on that. I personally watch the committee meetings to educate myself, but I know that we may not all have the time to do that. So perhaps a consolidated report would be very beneficial. So I am supportive of that.
Be helpful. Thank you, thank you. And I'm sorry to have interrupted.
Oh, not at all.
Mr. President, could I just say something?
Sure.
To Mrs. Hunt, Councilor Hunt, like the finance budget, we have the town manager and Laurie, who's in charge of the finance, and they explain everything to us, and that's how we decide.
I think that's great, and again, through you, back to the Vice President. I just think it's nice if we say that. The community watches these meetings, and, you know, as community, I've been watching these meetings, and sometimes I just hear, yeah, we sent this to committee, and the committee says go, and we go. And that's good. I just always wondered, well, how did the committee decide that? Like, who there told them? Because I know me sitting here, I don't know the insides of lots of things. I'm going to want somebody to tell me what the inside of it is so that I can come back here and say, you should support this because I learned what it is that you should support, or you shouldn't support this because I learned that you shouldn't support it. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
great points. And I, like I said, I do value and would encourage very thorough committee reports so that we can all become more informed and make very informed voting decisions here at the council level. So I'm in full
Thanks.
support of that.
Thanks.
Okay, let's move on to citizen comments. For those that would like to come up and speak, due to Massachusetts open meeting law requirements, discussions will not take place during the public comment periods. If appropriate, responses to questions and concerns will be given by the town manager at a future town council meeting. Who would like to come up and speak?
Hi, Janet Hanson, Pleasant Street. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Just a couple of things, and maybe it's going to be in the works, but the Proposition 2.5, when you go to the website, that should be the first thing. If there's some way of making it the first thing you can see without having to go, because I was trying to play with it while I was waiting. I had to go to the website, then I only knew to go to town manager because she mentioned it, so I went to town manager, and then I was trying to find it. Then I just typed override, and then I found all the questions. The average person, and I'm not unknown to the computer, just that when you open up the website, that should be the first thing, boom, everybody wants to see. So if there's some way of putting that on, I don't know if there is. So that would be my comment on that. Just don't make us having to dig for it. And it would be nice to have committees. I think at one point committees did come to speak, but that's kind of gone over the wayside over the years. So if we can get back to having regular committee reports, that would be good. So that's all for now, but just to make it easier for people to go to the website, override right in front of you, okay? Thank you very much and welcome.
Thank you. Anyone else like to come up and speak?
Dr. Michael Thomas, 72 Magnolia Way, Bridgewater. I just have a comment on the DEI committee as far as trying to find out the dates of their meetings and the minutes of their meetings. It's very difficult, if not impossible, to find. I'd like the town council to speak with them and have that more prominent on the website for the town so that people can view what their actions are, what they go about. Because in their mission statement, what they have also stated is that the mission of DEIB committee is to ensure all town initiatives, policies, and procedures demonstrate a commitment to centering principles of diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging while serving as a driver of social change in the town. So they're looking to change the society structure of town. And they have the committee, the DEI committee, but also the school committee has a DEI subcommittee, which is going to affect the policies and procedures in the schools and how those are addressed. What consequences are going to come about for people that may go awry of these initiatives, whether it be business or children in school or parents. How's that going to affect the parent rights? Because in a lot of towns that have gone with this, parent rights have been suspended or even revoked, and how they handle the children. This is something that the committee has to come out with clearly and plainly for everyone to see. And I think as we're there promoting a social change, that's a big change for the town and the people of the town. And I think you ought to consider it, what they want to promote, because some people will not stay for it. And you'll find you'll even have a bigger problem at the schools and even in the town itself, and maybe even businesses trying to bring into this town. And the wording on that proclamation coming up on June 21st, as far as the safe haven and sanctuary are synonymous, and people have a very strong opinion on that as to what's going on in the country the past year or so. So I need you to reconsider that and take that into account. And the flags that we should be raising are those that served us well and gave us the freedom to allow us to fly these flags, the American flag, and those are the service organizations that support that. So thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to come up and speak? Seeing none. Thank you very much for those that came up to speak tonight. We will finally move into council comments. I will start to my left. Councillor Lindy.
I don't have any comments this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hunt.
I just thank you for a well-run meeting. Very nice to have the new officers here and the council. So nice to be with you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Good to have you here. Councillor Murphy.
Just a quick thank you and welcome to the new councilors. Looking forward to working with you over the next year. That's it.
Thank you. Dr. Perry.
Thank you. Again, similar comments. Welcome to Mrs. Hunt and welcome to Mr. Kennedy. Congratulations to President Loretti and Vice President McGrath. I look forward to the coming year working with all of you. I think we'll hopefully get some wonderful things done and hopefully have some good debate amongst all the different issues. The only thing I'll state, just for, especially for the new counselors and certainly some of the existing counselors, is come to the meetings prepared. If you have questions, ask the town manager, ask the people behind the scenes before you come to the meeting. If you have particular questions, go and get those answers first before you come to the meeting. That's part of the job of being a counselor. You got to be prepared. So if you don't know the answers, then get the answers so we can have a discussion and get some work done here. I don't think delaying things to the extent that we're seeing delays happening is good going forward for the council or for the town. So please come prepared, get your questions answered in advance, and let's get some work done. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Perry. Councillor Sturgles.
Thank you to the residents that continue to show up and spend your time with us on Tuesday evenings every other week. We appreciate it. Congratulations to our newly elected President Loretti and Vice President McGrath, and further congratulations on your re-election, Dr. Perry, and welcome to the council, Councillor Hunt and Councillor Kennedy. I look forward to working with all of you and continuing my work with those that I've been serving with for the last year. Finally, I was a little unsettled by the revelation that the town was facing impending litigation about what happened a few weeks ago, and that it was raised in this forum without myself as a counselor who has been a counselor that entire 2 weeks, knowing that that was potentially the case. And I do believe that all of us in this room owe it to our residents to be transparent, and also to each other, to be transparent if we know things are going on or we hear rumblings going on, because none of us can do our job effectively if that happens. So in the future, I do think we need to be mindful with our words.
Councillor Ellenberg.
Yes, congratulations to the new counselors. Secondly, I'd like to say that I agree with Mary Lee that we need more detailed committee reports. I would like to hear the insides of what the debates were brought forward to the council as a whole. I have attended some of these budget and finance meetings and attempted to find out what was going on, but I think that for transparency and the taxpayers, they would love to see committee reports more fully expounded upon. That's all. Thank you.
Councilor Kennedy.
I just wanted to say thank you all. Congratulations, Mr. President and Mrs. and Madam Vice President. Thank you for serving. Thank you for the people that come to these meetings. It is important. Your involvement matters. Thank you for bearing the weather on the day that we went out to vote. It was absolutely awful, and many of you showed up just to do your civic duty, and that is appreciated regardless on who you voted for. Thank you all the counselors as well for welcoming us. I don't have a whole lot else to add to that, so thank you.
Thank you. And Vice President McGrath.
Congratulations on everybody, and thank you for voting for me. The other thing I have is communities in Massachusetts have received opioid settlement money, and the town manager decides to use these settlements. So I asked Mrs. Robinson if I could go in the community and get some recommendations. So I've met with both chiefs, fire and police, bridging lives, and last week I visited Mercy Street, who had their meeting at the Trinity Church on Main Street. So I bring up this group because they want the town to know that an addiction-related program they have there, and they're developing a program for parents who have children using drugs. This group meets the last Wednesday of the month at 6:30, and they're a very welcoming group, and they're very protective of each other's privacy. So I'd recommend anybody who has anyone in their family or a child on drugs to attend these meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. As for myself, thank you to the voters for voting me in to be here with you on the council. Thank you to my fellow councilors for appointing me as president. I hope to serve you all well. And thank you to my supportive wife out there. She is 9 months pregnant, and she was out there in the monsoon on election day, and she braved the entire day, and I couldn't ask for a better support system. And welcome to our new councilors, Kennedy and Councilor Hunt. I look forward to working with you all, and I hope that we all have a great year together as a council. With that being said, we do not have executive session, and I will be open to a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, motion carries. We are adjourned.